Hello. Hi. I'm sorry I haven't gone live for a long time. I've been so excited these last few weeks. And who's with me? I have created the Health Mastery for Leaders online live show. So for those of you that have been with me, you know that we're running an online live show right now. And and the truth is like I want to set you up for the holidays, right? Because we go into the holidays and we start into September, the children go back to school, our schedules change, and with our schedules changing, it gets darker. And then it's like, whoa, like what's happening? Like it's just really hard to just like get on board with everything that's changing. So I wanted to jump on live with you to let you know like that's running right now. For those of you that are in, you're responding and you're just enjoying the Health Mastery for Leaders. And what is it all about? It's all about sugar and creating peace in your bodies before the holidays. Because the truth is Canadian Thanksgiving just happened a few weeks back. Now we're stepping into Halloween early next week, and then it's a slippery slope for many of you. So, with my heart, I wanted to show up and show you and connect with you ways that you can start to look at your sugar. So, not only will I be going live for the next few days, I also want to let you know that I will be doing a 5-day sugar detox challenge, and that's starting next week. So, we'll talk about that at the end. But to head off the bat, what I want to talk about today is sugar and 3 steps that you can actually start to detox your sugar and get prepped so that you have peace for the holidays. So that's what today is all about. If you're on live with me right now, let me know where you're in. Drop it in the comments because this is why I'm here. I get to show up for each and every one of you, and answering questions for you is just what I love. And I'm between patients right now. And I said to my team, I want to get on at 4:15 and I want to talk to all of you lovely leaders, high performers in your life, doing all the things and trying to keep your life together and your nutrition, and just realizing that, this small accountability as individuals like myself are showing up for you. Welcome from Richmond. I'm so grateful to have you here. And so how I want to introduce this is how important is it to reduce sugar intake? And then what does that impact of sugar have on your overall health? Because the truth is sugar is very addicting. It's more addictive than cocaine and heroin, and it causes massive inflammation in the body, and it doesn't allow your immune system, like when you need to fight off an infection or a virus, or you get like the nose and the inflammation and your face swells and your sinuses feels all puffy and a little painful. It could be because either you could have an allergy, you have a virus, or like your immune system can't fight off the infection that's come this way. So sugar has a massive impact on both the body and the brain. However, when you consume it in moderation, like natural foods like fruits and maybe you have some oatmeal, which is a simple sugar, not necessarily a sugar like a honey or a maple syrup. And even those are natural, they're still sugar. But if you're like having excessive intake, like added sugars and processed foods, then that's when we're looking at massive health problems that can actually come on board like out of the blue. And really, it didn't come out of the blue, right? It's been building up over time. And then you end up with a diagnosis. And I say all conditions start with inflammation. Even that horrible C word that we deal with every day when we're like losing loved ones, it starts with inflammation where the immune system can't stop the tumor. So let's like do a deep dive right now. And please don't hesitate to ask questions. and I'll take breaths here and there, but I just want to make sure those of you that are on live really briefly for 15 to 20 minutes that you get this information for yourself, because I want you to have peace in your body, less anxiety, less sadness, and true happiness and joy coming into the holiday. So let's talk about the effects of blood sugar. So, do you all know what insulin is? So many people talk about insulin. Insulin is released from the pancreas to bring down blood sugar. So, if you have high levels of blood sugar, that can lead to insulin resistance. Your pancreas is getting tired, it doesn't know where to put the sugar. And what happens is when you consume large amounts of sugar, you're causing a spike in your blood sugar levels. Then what happens is the pancreas releases a hormone called insulin, and that prompts your cells, your muscle cells and the cells around, to absorb blood sugar. But over time, like I mentioned, the pancreas can get tired because you have excessive sugar intake that can lead to insulin resistance, and the cells become less sensitive to insulin. And that will raise your risk for type 2 diabetes. I called this live diabetes because too much sugar can lead to diabetes. And how many of you have loved ones that you know, or even yourself, that are suffering with diabetes and or pre-diabetes? And we know that 90% is lifestyle and diet, right? So I have patients coming in and they'll sit down and they'll be like, Dr. Donna, I just have diabetes. Like, it's no big deal. And I'm like, it's no big deal. It is a big deal. Like, by the time you get to diabetes, you've had low blood sugar, high blood sugar, and insulin resistance for a period of time before your body's like, yeah, like now you're starting like with massive inflammation. So let's continue here. Hopefully you're all getting this. So what will happen with high sugars? Weight gain. So high sugar intake can lead to weight gain, which increases your risk for obesity. Those sugary foods and sugary drinks often contain so many calories, but are less satiating than other foods. I always tell my patients to eat your calories, don't drink them. And so when you're having those sugary foods, that is leading to increase in calorie consumption and increased sugar in the body. The other piece, which is sad, is the heart. The heart is your engine, like it's pumping your blood, it's putting oxygen back into the system. And so it's so important. And you have the heart muscles. That's muscle that moves the heart. So sugar has been 100% linked to an increased risk for heart disease. It leads to obesity, inflammation, high triglyceride levels, high blood pressure, and all of these risk factors for heart disease. In fact, I want to share with you that high cholesterol is a sugar problem. It's not a fat problem. We've been all told that it's a fat problem. But when I start to bring down sugar in patients, their values in their LDL and their triglycerides start to come down. More so triglycerides, but I see it coming down across the board. The other organ that's affected is your liver, right? On the right side underneath your right breast here. So consuming too much fructose, which is actually a type of a sugar, can lead to something called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And that means that fat is accumulating in the liver cells, right? So those of you that have high sugar in the liver, that can be affecting your liver health. Kidneys. If we consume large amounts of sugar, it can cause challenges in developing a kidney disease. Teeth. Like I just had a patient who has diabetes who left a few hours ago, and she's going to get her teeth checked. So what happens is when sugar is consumed, it interacts with the bacteria in your mouth, which produces acid. And this acid, remember I started with sugar is a really strong acid. It can begin to erode tooth enamel, which can lead to cavities, right? Inflammation. This is the biggest one because inflammation can hide in all the organs as well as like fat. So, diets high in sugar have been associated with increased amounts of inflammation. And the inflammation, as I mentioned, is a precursor to so many chronic diseases. Who's with me? Like all of these diseases I'm listing, I'm hitting like so many organ systems. This is all from sugar, right? So there's definitely a balance. And I want to prep you so that coming into the holidays, you're feeling like your best self, your gut health. So excessive sugar can disrupt the balance of the gut bacteria in your gut. So, what will happen? We can end up with gastrointestinal issues like you could have constipation, you could have diarrhea, you can have a weakened immune system because your gut is your largest immune system and communicating with the whole body, and large amounts of sugar dumped into the gut. The other piece is the gut is a more basic environment where the urinary tract is more of acidic environment. So the gut needs to get rid of the sugar. Let's talk about brain health. How many people on this live right now are being affected for those that they deeply love with Alzheimer's, dementia, cognitive decline? Like this is becoming massive. And you've heard me all speak about the fact that by 2030, 30% of the people are slotted to have Alzheimer's slash dementia. That's scary, right? And we're now seeing that Alzheimer's is type 3 diabetes. Hence why a few minutes ago I said diabetes is scary. And it doesn't have to be. There's so many amazing lifestyle changes that you can make. Again, if you're jumping on now, go ahead and let me know where you're at. If you have questions, drop them in the chat and I'll be sure to answer them. I'm talking about the effects on the brain. So, dopamine. Sugar triggers the release of dopamine in the brain, which is responsible for your pleasure and reward. Over time, as you have excessive sugar consumption, this can make the brain's reward system less sensitive, requiring more sugar for the same pleasure and effect, and potentially leading to cravings. Whew, like you need more and more sugar for you to get that feel good response from dopamine. I just mentioned cognitive function. High sugar diets impair your brain function and it helps in a bad way, worsen your memory. And I also mentioned there's a growing evidence that so many of us have an increase of risk of developing a degenerative disease like Alzheimer's, which is decreased memory. So when I think of anxiety and depression, when I'm like sourcing out a patient and evaluating them, I look at their sugar intake because there is a clear connection between sugar intake and your risk of depression and anxiety. Because your fluctuations in your blood sugar levels impact your mood and energy. So say you eat sugar, you spike your sugar, you feel really good. And then once your sugar's out of your body, you dump, and then you have a high and then you have a low. I call it like a roller coaster ride with patients. And so that's like challenging on your mood and on your body, you know? So what do? You go and you grab more sugar, right? I said it was more addictive than cocaine and heroin. And with that being said, because sugar stimulates that release of some individuals can develop a preference for sugary foods and drinks. And when I ask patients and others like yourself doing the fall sugar detox, showing signs of withdrawal and cravings, like you could get headaches when you stop eating sugar or start to decrease sugar. You can get like fatigue, like low energy, and until your body starts to learn how to work with proteins and fats and other foods rather than sugars. So while sugar in moderation isn't harmful, and even necessary for our bodily functions, the consumption of added sugars can have detrimental effects on both the body and the brain. So, over time, let's start to be aware of your sugar intake. So, I want you to really think about what you ate today. Like, did you eat sugar? And do you even know where sugar is in your foods? That's one of the things that I'll drop the link in here, but that's one of the pieces that we're going to be talking about. You're going to be receiving emails, and we are going to be talking about where our sugar. So I just dropped the challenge. I just dropped the challenge chat in the link for all of you. And so it's so important to be aware of even simple starches. If you're not eating enough protein, that can be sugar. So let me take a break here and answer a few questions. So, any process or daily system to eat better? I'm looking for a protein drink. My struggle is a new plan. So, when you're making changes to your nutrition plan and you're slowly starting to remove sugar, one of the things that I highly suggest is you start adding protein in. I wouldn't necessarily say a protein drink, but is there like a favorite protein like that you like? Like, do you like turkey? Do you like fishes? Do you like beef? Do you like eggs? Do you like egg whites? So I always suggest, especially starting your breakfast with a high protein meal. And when I say high protein or, protein, let's say 30 to 50 milligrams, 30 to 50 grams for breakfast, because in order to flip how your body's working, you don't want to continue to intake sugar. So, yes, your struggle is a new plan. And I hear that all the time with patients. The other thing, and I suggest that you change one habit at a time. One habit at a time. So, say you're going to start focusing on how much protein am I going to eat, right? At each meal. What's my protein? That could be one habit you change. Then another habit that you look at is, what is my vegetables? What is my vegetables at each of my meals? And you start to add in your vegetables, right? So those are two small tips that I would start at. And I wouldn't really worry. Like, everybody starts to talk about calories, and I've got to cut my calories, and I've got to cut this. And at this point, when you're training the body to come off of sugar, I tell patients, honestly, I don't care about calories. I care about what you are putting in your body. Because the truth is, those proteins and vegetables, you're getting minerals and micronutrients from your vegetables and your fruit, right? So that's why it's so important to actually start looking at how you're doing this. And the other thing I would think about is consistently drinking half of your body weight in ounces throughout the day of water, good quality water. Like, get your water tested. Um, so I talked about like the short term effects and the long term effects on the body. Like, there is sugar. I will tell you, I go to the grocery store and I'm probably different. I get it. But I'm different because I care about what my body, like, I've chosen to do no alcohol and no sugar. And remember, alcohol is a sugar. I'm not saying it's bad. You have to stop it. I don't say you have to stop any of this. But you want to watch for hidden sugars. Like, I'm always surprised when I read labels that sugar is coming up in all these places. So I'm actually going to talk about how to read labels during my 5-day sugar detox challenge starting next week. So those of you that are super interested, you'll get an email in your email once you sign up. And then I'm going to walk you ways through starting to look at your nutrition and where sugar could be hidden. So what will happen as you start to cut sugar? You're going to start to boost your energy levels. You're going to have better mood. your skin is not going to be so dry. For those that are worried about anti-aging, sugar is aging because of the acid. And naturally, I have patients come in here all the time. They came in here for one condition. I get them on a healthier nutrition plan. They're not here to lose weight, but all of a sudden they feel less swollen. They feel like their pants fit better, like they've released toxins because they're doing saunas and colon hydrotherapy and foot bath therapy, and they're eating healthier quality foods, which is why I'm talking about this for the holidays, because why not step into the holidays and be happy in your body, right? So, you know, like I just mentioned a couple things that you can start to do in, week 1 or week 2, but the other thing that you can also start to think about once you get through the second week of what I suggested, like high protein and starting to add vegetables in, maybe week 3 you start to reduce your processed foods that you're eating and you start to eat whole nutrients dense foods. Maybe week 4 you start to eliminate or limit. So if you're somebody that needs desserts, maybe you choose a couple nights a week that maybe you do desserts every single night and it's a habit because you have a sweet tooth. Maybe you now cut that back to like twice a week. I don't know. But I'll tell you, from doing this for 20 plus years at the clinic and over 30 years on myself, the little small habits that I stack on and do mindful eating, that's how you get to health. You don't just get to health by cutting everything out right away. Because the truth is that I don't like this word, but it will be too hard for you. You'll have emotional outbreaks. You'll feel like a failure. You'll feel like you need to go on a diet. Like if we look up at the definition of diets, it's balanced nutrition. But yet in our country, in our world, it's like, you got to go on another diet. You got to go on another detox. But the truth is you get to change what's going on internally with your messaging, and the internal work is the most important work for your health. So I want to close with saying, like, if you plan ahead and you do meal planning and prepping for the week with smart grocery shopping, and you stick to the outer perimeter of the store, like that's where all the quality healthy food is. And maybe you go in the center because you need like quinoa, or maybe you need to buy, some sort of like beans or something. But smart grocery shopping and smart planning is always going to set you up for success. Is there any questions that I can answer right now with those of you that are on before I close? I wanted to jump on for a short period of time before my next patient, and because you get to be healthy. Like, you don't have to walk around with inflammation. You don't have to walk around with a disease. And every illness you can heal. If you're looking for sugar options, maybe look at stevia or monk fruit, because they don't necessarily spike your sugar and they're not going to cause the inflammation like all the other sugars. And I'm not going to list them all now. But I would love if I'm, like I said, I'm showing up all this week, all for the rest of this week into next week. And next week I put it in the chat. I'm doing the 5-day fall sugar detox challenge. And if you really want to get ahead of the game, we just did a summit on health mastery for leaders, and all those speakers spoke about sugar and tips and strategies. If you want that, click within my social media channel. I'm sure you can find the link and join us. And I will be going through during the live that I'm doing next week on like meal planning and meal prepping. So how I want to close. I'm encouraging you to do consistent small efforts at a time and celebrate small victories. Celebrate small victories. Maybe it's like purchasing something for yourself. I don't know what that is. I encourage my patients to often like buy something fun for themselves, right? And so we're always looking for different things to like actually pop in and like give ourselves some like happiness around like the success that we've had. So here is one like Savia's like amazing active wear, lifestyle wear. So there's an option there. I would suggest patients maybe you cut your sugar out for like 3 weeks or so, and then you buy yourself something special. You know, these small victories are huge victories for you. And remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's improving how you eat every single day. It's improving how you eat every single day. So, 100%, I hope this live was helpful. I see some comments in the chats. If you're watching this not live and you have questions, feel free to message us, and my team or myself will respond. I am sending you so much love, peace, and health today. You've got this. And I know that if you're listening to this live or replay, you are interested in healing. And I want you to stay in that energy. You get to stay in that energy because you get to have true health. Have an amazing day. I hope this was helpful. You are welcome. I appreciate you showing up. I appreciate each and every one of you. And from the bottom of my heart, so much love. Have an amazing rest of your day.